Hey guys, this is Eastern Block, and I'm here with Victor from Tango Down Liberty. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of a bug out bag. For those of you that don't know about bug out bags, it's a bag that you keep with you in case you need to leave your current location. This is actually not my bug out bag. It is an example, but a bug out bag could be made out of pretty much any bag that you have. Actually, a bag like this would not be ideal for a bug out bag, because when you're bugging out, which means you're leaving your current location to move to another location during an emergency, you don't want to stand out. You want to look just like everyone else. So this will make you stand out because it's camouflage, it looks tactical, and it looks like something that you prepared ahead of time. A bug out bag that is more discreet, that just looks like a regular gym bag, might be actually better to use as a bug out bag.
Depending on the situation.
Yeah, depending on the situation. But a couple things about bugging out. So again, this is going to be our first episode of a multi-part series on bugging out and bug out bags, bug out locations, strategic relocation, those types of topics. But bugging out is basically when you need to leave your current location because things are no longer safe or because you can no longer be there. So one of the best examples is a natural disaster. If there's a hurricane, if there's a tornado at your location, if there's an earthquake, any type of event like that, you might not be able to stay at your home. You might need to leave your home and go somewhere else. And that might mean leaving for several days. And that's what a bug out bag is for. It's to keep you sustained for up to a 72-hour period. Between 48 hours and 72 hours, it has all of your essential items.
And you want it to be pretty diverse, because it's going to be able to get you out of a lot of different situations. It's not always, the zombie apocalypse. It could be anything from a hurricane, even a power outage, anything like that. And it also, if you have a secondary location, a bug out location, the bag should help get you to that location. Or it could just sustain you for 2, 3, 4 days when you know you're not going to go to your bug out location. So it's going to have to be have a broad scope of items for a lot of different situations.
Definitely. So again, we're just going to go through a very quick list. This is definitely not comprehensive. We're going to do additional videos on each one of these topics, but we just wanted to give you a flavor of what you should have in your bug out bag. So the first thing is, and this is not in order of urgency, we just kind of threw this on a piece of paper and we're going through it. So first thing you want to have is food, right? So when you're outside of your house and there's a disaster, you might not be able to pick up food at the local supermarket or whatever. You definitely want some food to sustain you those 72 hours. One of the best ways to do that is to have some kind of long-term storable food that's easy to prepare. The military uses MREs, which are meals ready to eat. They come in. Can you tell us a little bit more about MREs, Victor?
Yeah, the basic idea behind an MRE is it's packed with calories. So there's nothing really in there that's not going to help you in some way as far as nutrition. And we could argue if it's the best for you or not. The bottom line is it's packed with protein, it's packed with fats, good fats, it's packed with just a lot of calories. They're really easy to use. An MRE comes fully, contains everything you need to heat it and everything like that. You do need a little bit of water, just a very little bit, like an ounce of water to use the heaters in it. So something like that would work. MREs are pretty expensive, so you don't really need to get an MRE, but something like an MRE.
Yep. So on the topic of water, that's the next item that you should have. This isn't water. This is vitamin water. It has some, I guess you could have a bottle of this. It has some additional components to it, but just good old-fashioned water. You should have enough to sustain you 72 hours, a few bottles worth. In my bug out bag, personally, I have a water filter. So I can filter my own water. Depending on where I am, I might have some kind of lake or river or whatever, and I can just take water out of that body of water and clean it through the filter. So a water filter is preferable. If you don't have a water filter, just bottles of water will do fine. And the best thing about water is it's non-perishable. It has no expiration date, so you can keep it as long as you want. And also, I've found that I've used my bug out bag in non-bug out situations. So I've had situations where I'm driving somewhere and my wife wanted a drink of water, and we didn't have any gas stations close or anything like that. You can just run back into your bug out bag, drink a bottle of that water, and then don't forget to replace it. If you use anything in your bug out bag, make sure to replace it. But it's good to have different amenities like that in your bug out bag that you can use, and water is definitely important for for the long haul. You can't survive more than 3 days, they say, without water. So it's definitely something you want in your bug out bag.
And especially if you're moving. I mean, if you have a bug out bag and you're walking, say your car breaks down, you're on a pretty deserted road, and you got to walk somewhere, and maybe the nearest gas station maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever miles away, but you're gonna be using a lot more water. So even if you can go 3, 4, 5 days without water, if you're working, if you're walking a lot, you're gonna be using a lot more water. So, under heavy exercise, you're not gonna last more than a couple days without water.
Yep. So the next item is shelter. You want to get out of the elements. So it might be raining, it might be snowing. Make sure you have something to address all those situations. Something during the winter that you definitely want in your bug out bag is heavy clothing, just in case, let's say, your car breaks down or whatever, and you need to walk somewhere far. You want some heavy clothing that will keep you warm, keep you dry. I have a couple examples here. I have a where is it? Poncho, for example. This is a form of shelter, so this poncho can be used when it's raining to keep you dry. Clothing, an extra set of shirts, some pants, some socks, underwear, stuff like that, in case you get wet, in case you get dirty. You can always change into that. And again, having that in your bug out bag is good, because let's say you're out somewhere in a social situation and you get your shirt dirty and you just need a change of clothes. It's in your bug out bag. Just grab an extra shirt. Shelter can also be stuff like this tarp over here, right? So let's say, worst case scenario, you're in the middle of nowhere and you need to build a camp for a night. Well, this tarp will help you build a tent to sleep in, right? So it'll keep you out of the elements.
And I did want to make one mention of, under most circumstances in a bug out situation, you're going to want something visible. So if someone's coming to rescue you, they can see you easier. Or some people carry whistles in the woods, not for self-defense. That's not a good idea. But I would also recommend to carry something maybe camouflage or darker. I mean, I'm not going to go into it, but there are certain circumstances where you would bug out and not want to be seen. You guys can use your imagination for that. You can picture having to leave your house for certain reasons and be in the woods trying to get somewhere else, and you don't want people to see you getting there. Maybe you have your kids with you, and there's been some type of societal breakdown, and you're just trying to get to your second location. You don't want to be walking around with a big orange poncho over your head saying, "Look at me, here I am. Here's the target for you." So just be able to cover all bases. Use your imagination. Have an orange one and have maybe a camouflage one. Couldn't hurt to have two. Can also double as an addition to your shelter if you need it.
Yep. Next thing on the list is protection. So here's my Ruger LC9S. In a lot of states, like New York, like Connecticut, some other states, you might not be able to have one of these in your car for protection, or might not have one of these at all. So this is, one form of protection. If you're out there and you're bugging out, you're walking on the street, you're walking through the woods, whatever, there's a societal breakdown or natural disaster like we saw in Katrina, you might have people that wish you to do you harm. So you need some kind of protection. This is a form of lethal protection. Another form of protection that you might want to carry with you is non-lethal. So things like, well, that's lethal. Yeah, a knife is lethal.
Well,
I would consider
if you're in a state where you can't have a firearm, carry a knife, carry a baton, something, mace, whatever the case may be. You need something to defend yourself. Not all of us are UFC fighters.
Yeah.
So.
But aside from the lethal stuff, you also probably want something that's not lethal, because not every situation warrants lethal force. So something like pepper spray, a taser, whatever is appropriate in your state. Some kind of maybe blunt object like a bat. I guess that would be lethal in some circumstances, but some way where you can protect yourself in a non-lethal way. I think pepper spray and a taser might be the best forms of that. But yeah, so protection is definitely something you want to look into. Next one on the list is energy. So energy is a way to basically keep your devices up to date and keep them online. So some kind of solar charger. I don't have one here to show you guys, but a way to charge your batteries, a way to charge your phone. Obviously, if you're bugging out, you might not be around your vehicle, you might be walking. So solar is going to be a big form of that. Some kind of backup battery power might be warranted. So some of the little battery banks that you can connect your phone into to charge it up, because you might be using your phone or a GPS to help you navigate. So you want to have that thing charging as much as possible. Solar is a good way because you can have it charging during the day. You can stick it on your backpack or on your bug out bag, and you can have it charging while you're walking through the sun. Another form of energy is this. What is this, Victor?
That's actually a camp stove. We got this from a battle box that we got, and you basically just use denatured alcohol. Obviously, you'd want to take this and put it into a smaller container. You don't want to be lugging this around. That's not that heavy, but space is a commodity in a bug out bag. So you just use a denatured alcohol. We're actually going to have a more detailed video on how to use this. It's actually a pretty cool camp stove, and as you can see, it's pretty small. You can definitely throw that in a bug out bag. But even in a 3-4 day situation, you may end up using this if you have some food that you want to cook, or if if you live in a wooded area and you catch fish or squirrels or whatever. I guess that would be probably a little bit longer than a 3 or 4 day situation, but if you think it's only going to be 3 days and it ends up 5, 6, 7, you may have to start catching your own food. So you can definitely cook a lot of food with that, and pretty effectively, and boil water. That's another good thing. If you need more water, you can boil water in this thing too.
Yep. Next thing on our list is communications. So whether that's one-way or two-way communications, this is a form of one-way communications. This is an AM/FM radio, and this one does not rely on batteries. So it's hand cranked, so you don't need batteries at all. You can just crank it. There's other ones that are solar powered. I like the hand cranked one because it doesn't matter if there's sun or not. You can just crank it and you can turn on the radio and listen to any kind of news that might be out there, because the internet might not work, so your smartphone might not be able to give you the information that you need. But usually AM and FM radio are pretty reliable even during a disaster situation, so you want to definitely keep in tune with what's going on, so you know exactly where you might want to go or places you might want to avoid in the status of the disaster. Two-way communications, your cell phone obviously is a good form of that if it works. Two-way radios are also good if you have a couple people that are traveling together and they get separated. A two-way radio might help you guys communicate together. So just a way to communicate, CB radio, all kinds of different things. Again, we're going to get into this in some subsequent videos. And the last item we want to talk about, or the last topic we want to talk about, is kind of miscellaneous. So there's a lot of miscellaneous stuff that don't really fit into a specific category, and it's really what you want it to be. So gloves, I have gloves in my bug out bag just because in case I need to pick something up, I don't want to get my hands dirty, or if something has sharp edges, I don't want to cut my hands. If you're dealing with blood, let's say you're helping someone out, and again, this might not be a bug out situation, but let's say you come upon a car accident and there's someone on the side of the road that's bleeding and you want to render first aid, you might want something like this. So these are disposable gloves. They're very cheap. They come in a huge box. You can buy a huge box and take a bunch of these, throw them in your bug out bag, and if you come upon a situation where you need to touch something that might be hazardous from a biological perspective, you want to put these gloves on to protect your hands.
I mean, you may have to gut and skin a squirrel or something, and if you're in a bug out situation, you aren't going to have a sink with water and soap. You probably want to throw a pair of gloves on so you don't contaminate your other gear or yourself. I want to go back to the energy real quick. Just carry a lighter. I mean, you can carry fire starting kits and stuff like that, and that's good too. But lighters are small. We got this case here. What's this? Exotac, and you just stick the lighter right in here, close it up, and it's waterproof. And you'll need an open flame to get this stove going as well, or to start any fire for that matter.
Yep.
And also, the some type of accelerant, like this is a type of waxy. Actually, I think these are, they're like little waxy plate things that will help you start a fire. It's called Mini Inferno, all-weather fire, made by the Pathfinder School LLC. I think that's the guy that was on the Dual Survival. And also, like cedar, you open this up and you sprinkle it on a flame or your fire, and it'll get the fire going really quick.
Yep. Some other stuff, a flashlight. This is actually a flashlight you can put on your head so that your hands are free, and this way you can be working on something and also have light.
Yeah, guys, don't put flashlights in your mouth and hold it with your teeth. Okay, that's you got to get with the times. Just grab. These are very affordable. You grab one of these headlamps and it's strapped on your head, and your hands are free to do what you want to do. Don't put flashlights in your mouth.
Yep, exactly. So we have other stuff here. Rope. Obviously rope can be used for all kinds of different things. Zip ties. So again, we're going to do a longer segment of this, or we're going to do an in-depth view of each one of these topics in subsequent videos. But we just want to give you a quick overview of what you might want to put in a bug-out bag and what a bug-out bag actually is. So thanks for joining us today. I'm Eastern Bloc. This is Victor. And if you like what we have going on with our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Visit our website, tangodownliberty.com, and also follow us on Twitter @TDLiberty. Until next time, Eastern Bloc and Victor signing off.